Eastern Roman Empire until 353 while in conflict with Constantius. His eventual defeat and suicide left Constantius as sole emperor until the nomination of his cousin Constantius Gallus as his Caesar and co-emperor. Constantius's rule would, however, be opposed again in 360. After his execution of Constantius Gallus, the Augustus Constantius had named his paternal half-cousin and brother-in-law Julian as his Caesar in 355, sending him to rule from Trier. During the following 5 years Julian had a series of victories against invading Germanic tribes, including the Alemanni. This allowed him to secure the Rhine frontier. His victorious Gallic troops thus ceased campaigning. Constantius sent orders for the troops to be transferred to the east as reinforcements for his own currently unsuccessful campaign against Shapur II of Persia. This order led the Gallic troops to an insurrection. They acclaimed, invested and crowned their commanding officer Julian as Augustus after the decisive Battle of Strasbourg, a distinction he had previously been offered but declined. Both Augusti readied their troops for another Roman civil war, but the timely demise of Constantius on the 3rd of November 361 and his deathbed recognition of Julian as co-Augustus prevented the Roman civil war of 353 from reaching Constantinople. 363 Julian. Map of Rome in 350. Julian would serve as the sole emperor for 2 years. He had been raised by the Gothic slave Mardonius, a great admirer of ancient Greek philosophy and literature. Julian had received his baptism as a Christian years before, but no longer considered himself one. His reign would see the ending of restrictions and violence against paganism introduced by his uncle and father-in-law Constantine and his cousins and brothers-in-law Constantine II, Constans and Constantius II. He instead placed similar restrictions on Christianity and some unofficial violence against Christians occurred. His edict of toleration in 362 ordered the reopening of pagan temples and their institution of alienated temple properties, and, more problematically for the Christian Church, the recalling of previously exiled Christian bishops. Returning Orthodox and Arian bishops resumed their conflicts, thus further weakening the Church as a whole. Julian himself was not a traditional pagan. His personal beliefs were largely influenced by Neoplatonism and theurgy. He reputedly believed he was the reincarnation of Alexander the Great. He produced works of philosophy arguing his beliefs. His brief renaissance of paganism would, however, end with his death. Julian eventually resumed the war against Shapur II of Persia. He received a mortal wound in battle and died on the 26th of June. 363. According to Gibbon in The Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire, upon being mortally wounded by a dart, he was carried back to his camp. He gave a farewell speech, in which he refused to name a successor. He then proceeded to debate the philosophical nature of the soul with his generals. He then requested water and, shortly after drinking it, died. He was considered a hero by pagan sources of his time and a villain by Christian ones. Gibbon wrote quite favorably about Julian. Contemporary historians have treated him as a controversial figure. 364 Jovian. Julian died childless and with no designated successor. The officers of his army elected the rather obscure officer Jovian emperor. He is remembered for signing an unfavorable peace treaty with the Sasanian Empire, ceding territories won from the Persians, dating back to Trajan. He restored the privileges of Christianity. He is considered a Christian himself, though little is known of his beliefs. Jovian himself died on the 17th of February 364. 364 392, Valentinianic dynasty. Valentinian and Valens. The role of choosing a new Augustus fell again to army officers. On the 28th of February 364, Pannonian officer Valentinian I was elected Augustus in Nicaea, Bithynia. The army had been left leaderless twice in less than a year, and the officers demanded Valentinian choose a co-ruler. On the 28th of March, Valentinian chose his only elder brother Valens, and the two new Augusti parted the empire in the pattern established by Diocletian. Valentinian would administer the western provinces, while Valens took control over the eastern empire. The election of Valens was soon disputed. Procopius, a Cilician maternal cousin of Julian, had been considered a likely heir to his cousin but was never designated as such. He had been in hiding since the election of Jovian. In 365, while Valentinian was at Paris and then at Rheims to direct the operations of his generals against the Alemanni, Procopius managed to bribe 2 legions assigned to Constantinople and a golden solidus depicting Valentinian I, R364-375, and right-hand image, a marble statue of his son and later ruler Valentinian II, R375-392, take control of Constantinople. He was acclaimed Augustus on the 28th of September and soon extended his control to both Thrace and Bithynia. War between the rival emperors continued until Procopius was defeated. Valens had him executed on the 27th of May 366. On the 4th of August 367, the 8-year-old Gratian was proclaimed as a third Augustus by his father Valentinian, who had fallen ill, a nominal co-ruler and means to secure succession. In April 375, Valentinian I led his army in a campaign against the Quadi, a Germanic tribe which had invaded his native region of Pannonia. According to Ammianus Marcellinus, during an audience with an embassy from the Quadi at Brigitio on the Danube, Valentinian suffered a burst blood vessel in his brain while angrily yelling at the people gathered, 78, resulting in his death on the 17th of November 375. Gratian Wason, a 16-year-old and arguably ready to act as emperor, but the troops in Pannonia proclaimed his infant half-brother emperor under the title Valentinian II. Valens and Gratian acquiesced in their choice. While Thesan I or Augustus administered the Eastern Empire, Gratian governed the Praetorian Prefecture of Gaul. The Praetorian Prefecture of Italy, Illyricum, and Africa were officially administered by infant brother and Gratian's stepmother Justina. However, the division was merely nominal. Actual authority in the West still rested with Gratian, and with Valens as the senior emperor. Battle of Adrianople, 378. Barbarian invasions of the Roman Empire. Showing the Battle of Adrianople. Meanwhile, the Eastern Roman Empire faced its own problems with Germanic tribes. The Thuringi, an East Germanic tribe, fled their former lands following an invasion by the Huns. Their leaders Alavivus and Fritigrum led them to seek refuge in the Eastern Roman Empire. Valens allowed him to settle as foederati on the southern bank of the Danube in 376. However, the newcomers faced problems from allegedly corrupted provincial commanders and a series of hardships. Their dissatisfaction led them to revolt against the Roman hosts. Conflicts continued for the following 2 years. Valens led a campaign against them in 378. Gratian provided his uncle with reinforcements from the Western Roman army. However, this campaign proved disastrous for the Romans. The two armies approached each other near Adrianople. Valens was apparently overconfident of the numerical superiority of his own forces over the Goths. Some of his officers advised caution and to await the arrival of Gratian, others urged an immediate attack and eventually prevailed over Valens, who, eager to have all of the glory for himself, rushed into battle. On the 9th of August 378, The Battle of Adrianople resulted in the crushing defeat of the Romans and the death of Valens. Contemporary historian Ammianus Marcellinus estimated that 2/3 of the Roman army were lost in the battle. The battle had far-reaching consequences. Veteran soldiers and valuable administrators were among the heavy casualties. There were few available replacements at the time, leaving the empire with the problem of finding suitable leadership. The Roman army also started to face recruiting problems. In the following century, much of the Roman army would consist of Germanic mercenaries. Gratian and Valentinian II. The death of Valens left Gratian and Valentinian II as the sole Augusti. Gratian was now effectively responsible for the whole empire. He sought a replacement Augustus for the Eastern Roman Empire. His cause was Theodosius I, son of formerly distinguished Magister Equitum Count Theodosius. The elder Theodosius had been executed in early 375 for unclear reasons. The younger Theodosius was named Gratian and Valentinian's junior co-Augustus on the 19th of January, 379, at Sirmium. Gratian governed the Western Roman Empire with energy and success for some years, but he gradually sunk into indolence. He is considered to have become a figurehead while Frankish General Merobords and Bishop Ambrose of Milan jointly acted as the power behind the throne. Gratian lost favor with factions of Roman Senate by prohibiting traditional paganism at Rome and relinquishing his title of Pontifex Maximus. The senior Augustus also became unpopular with his own Roman troops.
Okay, now my computer have crashed. Got to page 34. So it's true, I think can only do this, no 24. But we need, I like to read it finish. But this camcorder is out of power. I have to change my camcorder. The weather is very nice, and it starts getting hot in my living room. But I like to read it finished. Now I spent so much time to read it, but not with this camcorder, because this camcorder is out of power. I will try to do a kind of video on my language Danish. I need to go to bathroom because it's 2 hours and I need to eat a little bit food. So I will take a short break and read it finish. I need this camcorder for tonight. I'm going to record about my airline sim. So I need to go to bathroom because I've been laying there 2 hours.